I had a doctor's appointment there this morning at 11:15, and they called me like at 8:05 and said they were sending all their staff that lived out of town home, and so when the lady called, she said, anybody that's in Sioux Falls, that they can get in before 10, they're gonna take at 10, by 10, but otherwise, they're telling her.
So there's a delegation coming, so we just pop them in when they pop in?
I guess so.
Okay, well, I'll call the meeting to order. Looks like we have no citizens input. Delegations, moment, we have no delegations. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, I'll get a motion to approve the agenda. Correct?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second. On to minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Discussion, all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approve the financial reports. Anything you want to talk about?
Nothing out of the ordinary. If there are things that are out of the ordinary, we'll do our best to highlight those ahead of time for you.
Okay. Nobody has any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve the financial reports.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. Department reports.
I will start. As far as programs go, we started our men's basketball league last night. We had 33 teams, and one backed out on Tuesday, the day before the league started, so tried to do a little readjustment there, but
No buys.
no buys, so that kind of helped them out a little bit there. So we have 32 teams, which is great. We're using 4 gyms on Wednesday night and 1 gym on Thursday. Now, we didn't need to use Tuesdays, so we also have our youth wrestling still back up and running again. It started for a couple weeks in December, and then they take holidays off. We're actually up to, I put 102 kids, we had a few more sign up. We're up to 104 kids, which is more than we've had in probably close to a decade, so that's good to see that one coming back. And then Jamie also started or we're taking registration right now for a level 4 swim class that'll start on Monday. So still have a few spots left in that, and our co-ed volleyball league is going. And we just had our first meeting with the Chamber and DW and the Special Olympics for the State Special Olympics basketball tournament. That's going to be held here in March. As far as the rec center goes, everything's going well. The room is all done, obviously. And now they're starting on, they're starting with the other projects now. They got done painting all the walls and stuff in the rest of the hallways and everything last week. Our new LED lighting got put in this week. And then the flooring will start next week. So they're going to do that in pieces, and they'll do that in the evenings after we're closed and on weekends when we're closed. So it won't interrupt anything during the day. So that's nice that they're doing that. So, but memberships are going well. I'm sure some of you have probably heard our steam room is down again, but they actually did find the problem now. They've been redesigning their heating elements here for about 4 or 5 months now, and they're tested and everything's gone well. So we are hoping to see them in today, but they didn't come in. So hopefully by tomorrow they'll come in. We get that thing up and running, and it stays that way. So, but it's good that they did find the actual problem now. So, and then I just put in there as well that we're going to be hosting a gymnastics meet in February. The core athletics is the place that they usually have it. They can't use it this year. So they're looking at using our front gym. They think it'll work space-wise. So we're accommodating them, and hopefully works out for them. And they can, either it'll be a success and we can do it again next year, or they'll go back to their other spot that they normally use.
So the gym that they use is the old basketball gym? Is that the one you?
They'll use the
gym?
front one. Yep.
That
Yep.
one you- yeah.
Yep.
And so will there be, like, do you have to move bleachers in there?
No,
or-
they didn't need any bleachers. They'll bring all their equipment in. I don't know how it's going to work, but they say the space is going to work. So I'm
Right.
leaving that up to them.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thanks, Kevin. Steve next.
Yeah, in the fall and winter time, we do a lot of our tree removals and the tree work. We're just started removing the boulevard trees and trees in the parks that are dead. Did some trimming of trees above our sidewalks and bike trails. And then we started working on a few trees in some of the parks that needed to be trimmed up. Cutting and splitting firewood for the campground this upcoming summer. Hauled tree piles from around the lake to landfill, worked on grinding some tree stumps from around the lake that were removed. We took out down the Christmas decorations in the tree right after the first of the year. Got our snow removal equipment ready, and we had to use them a few times now. And then just starting to do maintenance on other equipment and repairs for next summer.
Anybody got any questions? Jeremy's is in there, I imagine. Read it.
How did this first snow removal go for you?
That first snow was more kind of a wet, heavy snow, and it took a little bit longer, but, you know, getting through everything and with all the added bike trails and stuff, you know, it takes a little bit longer.
I had someone ask on Facebook about an area that wasn't being, that didn't have snow removal from the city. And I feel like it was maybe in a park area, maybe down in Dry Run Creek. Does that sound familiar?
I think I know the area you're talking, kind of underneath the railroad tracks
I
there.
think that's where it is, yeah. And,
Yeah.
And so they tagged me. I don't know if they think that I'll go down and remove the snow. I kind of chuckled about that, like, I'm on my way. Anyway, what do we tell people when there are spaces like that that typically the city doesn't do the snow removal?
Well, we do snow removal there, but like on Burr, Havens, and Sanborn, you know, the street department usually pulls that snow back in and hauls it out at a later date. So we kind of, you know, our department, we got sidewalks on that stretch too, kind of wait too. So if they pull it in, then they can haul it away, then we clean the rest. And, or it could be a day or two after it snows by the time we get to some of these areas, you know.
So I should just say,
It,
patient.
yeah.
Tactful.
I can be tactful.
I'm not certain that everybody knows, but Jeremy's dad passed about a week and a half ago, and he's out in Idaho. So he's been out there doing funeral arrangements and other extended things that had to be taken care of after that time, and he'll be returning finally next week.
Thanks for letting us know.
You're welcome. My report. We will get to tree removal rates tonight as far as a discussion item. I had it listed on there last time that we'd be doing that, and we went right around it. Cleanup work at the lake. Steve had alluded to the fact that they're out there taking care of stumps and picking up brush yet and things that have been left behind. And I think he's glad that the weather got a little bit tough because now that crew can't continue to get ahead of them. Shelter improvements, I noted in here that there's a volunteer group that intends to make some changes as far as re-siding and sprucing up the day camp and sportsman's club buildings out there this year and the next summer as well. Cadwell, still work going on out there. Cadwell Loop, we've got a couple ladies here tonight who'll be presenting information. And they got here just a little bit late due to a communication faux pas, but they're going to be on top of it as far as their presentation. And noted in here as well that we had a meeting after we had that meeting here at the end of last month regarding some arena issues that were going on, and I hope that we've addressed that. One thing that's not noted in here is that several months back I talked about a grant application that I sent in for trees replacement. That grant amount had been hopefully to get a $100,000 grant, and we got a letter yesterday, an award letter saying we get $90,000, so we'll get to do some tree work the next few years. We do not have to have that work completed until the end of 2027. So that's nice as far as giving the extension and getting our areas prepped before those trees will go in. That's it for mine.
Yes. So now we'll jump back and do delegations, correct? Yep. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Okay.
I'm Emily Hone.
Courtney Denny.
My apologies for being late, that's 100% on me. I guess that the project that we're working on involves Cadwell, the loop around Cadwell. And what we want to do is put stationary equipment pieces, ideally around the loop or in different spaces around the loop where people already use it to walk around. Why not incorporate a little bit of strength training with it? So, and we already team up for biking events around town and other fitness-related activities, so we would incorporate this into likely Tuesday night rides. Thomas sent us an email earlier today. He's got some contacts as far as the equipment goes, so, I mean, it would be funded basically through
Yeah.
grants.
So a little bit about how this project came to go is, like Emily said, we partner so much together already on things, just like bike rides, community rides, all of that kind of stuff. She hosts the triathlon, we host the mountain bike race on the trail. So essentially, we said, why don't we just create something together? So we created a new nonprofit in town called MAC Area Events that came to fruition in 2023. So with that, we've been approached by some of the larger foundations in town to say, hey, we know that you two have done this and we know you two are very project-minded, so please come to us for some money to do something. So she had this idea a few years back that we said, why don't we start taking some of these proceeds? I mean, we've already done some small things like putting Striders into First Lutheran, donating money back to the swim team, all that kind of stuff, but we kind of wanted to make access to something that people at no cost could do, even as Emily owning a gym and multiple gyms in town. Not everybody can afford that access. So we were thinking, how do we do something like this? And Sioux Falls did something in a park similar, but like she said, we want to incorporate the loop system. But then maybe make a larger loop in the community of taking a few pieces by the high school in that park and kind of spreading this out so people have to get active across Mitchell. So essentially, we're coming to you guys for approval to possibly start this project. So we, like we said, we'd probably start with 8 to 10 pieces of equipment first. With businesses, some grant funding that we know is there that we would just have to access. We've talked with Kevin and Jeremy and Thomas about this. We'd likely purchase all the equipment through the city or through the Park and Rec just because of the discounts and costs probably that the city could get versus us purchasing them outright kind of thing. So, I mean, really, that's kind of where it stands. We haven't went to a design or anything, but we wanted to start with this before we move forward with more work, so.
So what you're seeing is just a concept up here. It wouldn't necessarily be this equipment, but that type of thing we placed out there with your approval. A few of the places they're looking at will be on the corner behind Cadwell Stadium, but on the intersection of, is it 15th and
15th in Minnesota, yep.
Yeah.
and then going out toward the bypass and 15th, right on the corner of where that sign is already there. We could potentially move that fence in toward the practice field out there, but it'll allow some space on that corner and put a neat open area to get that going. Going south about a couple hundred yards before you get to the maintenance shed that you got to see that illustrious shed earlier this year or late last year, and possibly on the corner by the middle school as well. I'm sorry, I interjected.
No,
No,
that's
you're
okay.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the only cost is just the installation, I think, just having the guys maybe install them, but I think everything else, we can get covered.
And they might even be able to pursue some assistance with that too, as far as pouring the concrete. So our labor will be just bolting it into place and getting those anchors set.
I love this so much. I love you guys so much because you're such doers. I sit on the Merritt Mitchell Area Mitchell Charitable Foundation. So I think you should also approach them. Have you already been
Well,
told to go
They're
there?
on the list. The Weller
Yeah.
Foundation was the first one, and then
Yeah.
that's the second one, so.
Yeah, this is something that would be right up their alley, and so that would be, I mean, what a great idea. And, I mean, I love that you guys came up with this idea and that you're just making it happen without even having, I mean, I just love that about you guys, that you're just like, you know, we have a need, let's fix it. So anyway, thanks so much, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see any pushback from here.
Yeah.
This is a great thing to have for us.
Yeah, and
Period.
obviously, the equipment and stuff, will have some handicap accessible pieces, some not, so we want to just kind of make sure we're catering it to everybody. And I know the middle school has mentioned, like, if that was there, they would probably incorporate that somehow into the biking loop that they do, or just walking that loop and things like that, so.
And to be clear, there would be a concrete pad, and that would be attached either to the sidewalk or be a short sidewalk to that pad, so it would be accessible.
I know you kind of mentioned that you haven't gotten anything finalized yet, but have you thought about what types of equipment you're planning on including in this at all?
Yeah, so Thomas just actually sent us a vendor to look at just about 3 or 4
Courtney, we have
hours ago.
people who watch this, and the only
sorry.
way they can hear is if you're on the
Yeah,
microphone.
so Thomas sent us a couple hours ago, just the equipment to kind of start looking at. Emily and Thomas, that's their expertise area, not mine. Mine's the fundraising side, so that they'll pick the equipment out, but they had a few ideas.
I think we would start more with very basic equipment, you know, push-ups, a parallel row, step-ups. And then if that goes over well and we see people using it, I mean, it's kind of hard to track, but it's not like my Facebook reviews coming in or something like that. But I think we'll see people using it just when we're out there. But I think the more that stuff gets utilized, then we can add some more technical, if you will. I mean,
So this is the basics she's talking
Yeah.
about. This would be more technical in terms of ropes and rings and things of that nature and elevation.
I mean, there's even like outdoor like ellipticals
Yeah.
and stuff. It's pretty fantastic.
If you guys have been to Dakota Wesleyan at all, in the LBW playground, they kind of have a little setup there of some of the pieces. They're very basic there. We'd expand on some of that.
Yeah, like a seated chest press, you know, something like that.
We're trying to
So.
pick pieces that have minimum maintenance, kind of, so.
Businesses, I think, will sponsor some of these. We'll put a little QR code on a little plaque on there so people can click there and go access their website or whatever it may be.
I like the idea of doing something over by the high school too on that. What's that park?
At Northridge.
Yep.
Northridge, yeah, on that. And then utilize some land maybe by the golf course on the bike trail
Sure. Yeah, that's a great idea.
that's over there too. I mean, like you said, to spread it out across a couple areas would be really good. I don't know anywhere besides Dakota Wesleyan, Loop, like around there, anywhere south end of town that would
Yeah.
benefit. I mean,
Maybe like the one around Cabela's.
yeah, yep.
Grassland.
I mean, people would have to drive out there. Well, not really. I mean, some people from the,
Quite a bit.
yeah, there is more with, when they redid that, yeah.
Having them along already designated
Yeah.
paved paths is kind of the idea. Then they see those, oh, let's stop and do something.
One of the things that kind of has been a bit of a surprise for me that I didn't know before I was on the city council was how much vandalism we have. But are these all pieces of equipment that pretty much people can't ruin? Generally speaking, are they kind of, when you said that, the chest press thing, so that moves. So does that have like weights that you can adjust the weight on it, or?
I mean, I personally haven't used those ones. I've only used like the stationary, non-moving ones. So, and I mean, they're made to withstand pretty extreme climates. So, I mean, I realize that there are some people that like to go the distance and see what they can ruin. But, I think that's something we'll definitely keep in mind when ordering the stuff, because we certainly don't want it ruined shortly after we get it.
It's fantastic.
Is there any opposition to it? Or are we kind of getting the head nod at this point?
We have to push around it? We have to push snow around it?
That's something that Jeremy mentioned too when we
Yeah,
met
just
with
thought of that. I was
them.
like,
Yeah.
cool.
It might be a little hand shoveling at each of the stations, in fact.
Yeah.
Hopefully not tall grips.
I
What-
mean,
What, yeah, go ahead.
if it's a day like today and you're outside doing chest presses, God, more power to you. Man,
Just
I
put a
mean,
shovel next to it and let them do that
Yeah.
for exercise.
What surface are you looking at?
So we
Are you-
would put it on a concrete
Yeah.
pad and
So it
set
would just be
back off the
concrete.
trail. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it'd have to be a concrete pad, and then, like Kevin said, you know, we may have like a short, like, extra pad to it, like handicap accessible. We want to make sure that we're, you know, appeasing to everybody, but that,
I don't
nothing
see
super big.
Having that as far as the surface, because that's
No.
not
No.
blower friendly or shovel friendly.
Yeah.
It is user friendly in terms of it's got some rubber cushioning to it.
Like one pad per piece, I think.
I mean, that's my question. Do you really, in the winter, are there going to be a lot of people that are,
No,
I don't see it either. I mean, this is South Dakota, but.
as long as it's not in the way of the sidewalk.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
Yeah,
on
it would
any
be
sidewalk.
offset from there.
Yeah.
If somebody's stopping,
Hey, the extra snow is just more workout.
they can bring their own shovel.
Like Adam's idea of the shovel that's already out there, or like you said, bring your own.
Yeah.
BYOS.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, I know, and the only reason I think about this is I just got the waiver information for the rec center like the other day. Is there any liability issue that we would have with having this equipment sitting on a city-owned park?
We need to talk to Justin about that yet, but I assume since it's made to put in a park setting.
I would assume so, but
That would be minimal, but we'll involve Justin as well.
It would be safer than some of the playground equipment.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't know how it differs from playground equipment, but I'm also not an attorney, so,
me either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. I know in Rapid, one of the things that one of the new parks, they have some balance. They have like a balance park with a couple different balance
Yeah, that's,
stations. I don't know if I saw anything. If it's targeted towards adults or kids or middle age, you know.
Likely not seniors, if it's balanced beams, I think. Or is it more of a wobble board like you're seeing with that?
No, well, there's levels of difficulty that kind of go with it, with standing, yeah. I don't know.
Proprioceptive training.
Yeah.
So I think the next step for them would be to bring us some sort of plan, right? Because that would have to be approved and then move forward.
With them, I think the next step is applying for the funding, since they feel like they've got the,
yeah, we're not worried about that part, so we'll bring you a plan next, so, yeah.
Yeah.
They are seeking approval, so you guys will have to make a motion for them to move forward with approving the concept of what they brought. so
I'll
that they
motion
can
to
bring something
approve the
forward.
concept.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin's on the box. He's got like 1,500 just brought in, but they're not ready. But there's something. Thank you, ladies. Are we on the trees?
Yeah, discussion on tree removal rates for 2024.
So as I noted in the notes, and as we talked about last month, the rates you're seeing in the left column, where it says expenses only, that's based upon equipment, is my understanding, at a rental rate through FEMA in terms of reimbursement at that time. And I'm not involved with how those calculations were put together in terms of the 1-inch, 2-inch diameter trees going down the line. Steve would have more of that than what I would. But in terms of what those rental rates are now through FEMA, they've gone up 48% since the time that this grid was developed. So we put together a graph here showing what it would be to increase the base rate plus the rate on a 25% scale and a 50% scale to have that increase on there in case you're interested in increasing those rates. Steve, you want to add anything at this point?
I think, if we do go to the 50% increase, I think we're still way cheaper than you can get any contractor to do it. City's not out to make money off this, but it's just kind of to recoup some costs of, tree removal.
And keep in mind, this is only what would be considered public trees that the city takes care of, so it's the boulevard trees only, not those within a private yard.
And this is just fully removal, right?
Correct. So if somebody were to come in and they had a 9-inch tree, right now it would cost them 100, and that's at DBH, so it's diameter at breast height is what the DBH means. So a 9-inch tree would cost them at present $120. If we added that 25%, you're at $150, and the 50%, we're at $180 for that tree. If you went up to
I just need to clarify. So this is, if there's a dangerous tree on someone's property, then this is if they called the city and asked the city to come in and remove it. Am I understanding that correctly?
Let's say that if it's an ash tree, and we were going to take it down anyhow because the ashes at some point, they're all going to be dead, we don't charge them for that.
Okay.
We just take an ash tree. I'll let Steve go further on this explanation.
Yeah, and if there's some trees that are heaving the sidewalk or the curb or something like that, we don't charge for that either. It's got to be just a dead tree that's got no other really issues that we charge for. But if there's something that infrastructure has to go in, like a street project, then we don't charge. And, so out of this year, the trees that we're taking down on the boulevards, we got 45 trees that we're removing. We're only charging for 13 of them. So it's not very many that we actually charge for.
So generally speaking, a homeowner would call or a property owner would call you and say, I've got a tree, or is the city the one that initiates this conversation?
It's kind of both. We get calls to look at trees, and then we go look at the trees ourselves. I have one guy, he drives every street in the fall looking for dead trees or trees that are almost 3/4 dead, stuff like that, that are a hazard. And then we put a door hanger on their door, and then we send them a letter.
If your 50% increase is still way lower than having a contractor do it, I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be. You're only charging for 13 of, it's not that much difference for.
From what I'm understanding, it's pretty much voluntary, right? This is a voluntary thing by the homeowner, correct?
Well, no, we go looking for trees too that should come out. We notify the homeowner that they should remove the tree or want us to do it type of thing. We give them the option if they want to find their own contractor to do it themselves or to do it themselves. We get a few people that will do it. No cost to them or to, us to do them to charge them for it. They got that option too before we will remove it.
You want a motion on something?
We don't actually have it as an action item this month. We would move it to an action item for next month. We just want a discussion at this point to see which direction you think you might want to head.
I personally have no problem going up to the 50% mark.
I have no issue with that either.
I would agree.
There's not.
I'm just looking at the numbers up there, and I know what a 20-inch diameter tree looks like. And I'm looking at that number going,
That's not very expensive.
No.
Yeah, and this is like Kevin said, it's just the FEMA rates for the type of equipment. There's no staff hours in it or nothing like that.
Labor, there's no truck.
Yep.
There's no nothing.
Well, there's a truck, loader, stuff like that.
It's rental of the equipment.
Got it. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Based upon what we're hearing, we'll bring it back next month, leaning toward that 50% mark to seek action on at that point.
When was the last time it was changed?
I believe 2017
Okay, wow.
or
For
2018,
2018, when Nathan set this up,
based upon 2017 rates.
yeah.
Okay. Next, I need a motion to go into executive session, correct? All right.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll take the minutes for indicating that who made the motion that we come out of?
And nobody denied getting out. Everybody ate it.
Okay, so now,
I can't find her.
she wants to be in the hallway right out here, but you walked from one end to the other?
Yeah, unless she's in the restroom. We'll see how many laps you make. Yeah.
Come on, Kevin, come on. There was a question regarding what we dealt with, hockey.
Yeah, how's your meeting go with?
It was about an hour and a half long. We talked about, thank you, Luke. We talked about maintenance and cleanliness when it came to our staff, what that needed to do. We talked about communication and behaviors as far as hockey kids. And actually hopefully hockey parents of beer cans that are left out in the parking lot, but most of the time they're smashed and left in one particular area versus being strewn all over the place. But, so there's just little things to take care of. And I understand our staff have taken care of 4 or 5 things inside in the arena in terms of things that were kind of beaten on the other side. And likewise, in terms of behaviors and communication, it's come around the other direction too.
I thought it was really, I felt like it was fruitful because it was give and take.
Yep.
They came prepared with some things that they were hoping that this board and the city would do, and I felt like there was good discussion and that it wasn't, no animosity. It didn't seem like it. It felt like it was very cordial and reciprocal.
But the vending machine is in there that wasn't approved to be in
Just
there.
on-ball thing of, just give them an inch and take a mile, but you had ownership in the facility, and that's a good thing, yet do you really have ownership of what, and being able to just do whatever you want to do? It's just drawing the lines and saying, please ask, and,
Give approval.
yep,
Need to know.
yep.
I think the rink event was nuts this year.
Oh my
That-
gosh, it looked like
That
there
was awesome.
packed.
Yeah, like you,
So
so
full.
we were taking tickets and there was no seats.
Terry showed me a photo of it.
You could, there was literally not a seat in the stands, and someone, the high school kids who can get pretty rowdy were great. But, yeah, I mean, they were cheering and doing all the things they were supposed to do, but there was no banging on the glass, or it was impressive to have that many people in a building and have no issues. It was great. It was really cool.
We drove down Minnesota and I'm like, so, one of the discussions was.
You saw the parking,
Was
didn't
the
you?
parking and how they would like us to take that grass out. And I think Joe Schrader's talking about that.
Yeah.
When they do some work on the road around there. But I said to Brian as we're driving, I'm like, look how far away the cars are parked. I'm like, this is why we need to turn that grassy part.
And that's gonna add maybe 60 spots, so what do you do with the other 300 cars?
I know.
Well, and like I said, what the biggest problem becomes is the people that are showing up when it's like that are the players for like the varsity games. So you have the varsity showing up and they're parking 2 blocks away because the games that are going on before them are happening. That's kind of where the real issue, in my opinion, comes, is that,
Yeah, and for them to show up 20 minutes earlier doesn't necessarily help either.
No,
because The spots are.
way all day long.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, what a good event. I don't know how much money they raised, but.
It was fabulous. I mean, I wasn't there, but I.
Still looking for Angel. We'll be able to close out the meeting without her being here,
Okay.
because you're gonna set the date.
Yep. So the next date would be February 8th.
That's as early as it can get.
Yep. $6, any issues?
Just confirming that it's the 8th, you are correct. 6 o'clock.
Is that it? Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
I Aye.